The underestimated species. Admiral Sarah Reeves stared at the massive holographic display in Earth's United Defense Command Center, tracking the incoming alien vessels. The first Valari ship had appeared 3 years ago, materializing just beyond lunar orbit without warning. Humanity had celebrated first contact at last, until the celebration turned to ash in their mouths. "Your species has potential," the Valari commander had announced to the hastily assembled UN Security Council. "But you are millennia behind the galactic standard. Your continued independent development poses risks to established trade routes. The Valari Empire offers protection and gradual technological integration in exchange for reasonable resource tributes." It wasn't a request. The demonstration that followed, the casual vaporization of an uninhabited island in the Pacific with a weapon that seemed to bend physics itself, made that clear enough. Now, 3 years later, Sarah watched as another Valari harvester ship entered Earth's atmosphere, heading for the mineral extraction zone in what was once the Amazon basin. The bastards were getting greedier. Admiral, her aide, Lieutenant Kai Park, approached with a tablet. "Dr. Chen reports success with Test Alpha 7. She's requesting your presence." Sarah's heart rate quickened. "Tell her I'll be there in 20 minutes. And Kai, standard communications protocol." "Yes, Mom. Eyes and ears only. No digital trail." The underground facility in Antarctica had been built beneath 3 kilometers of ice, in a natural cave system that shielded it from the Valari's advanced scanning technology. The aliens had placed strict technological development restrictions on Earth, but they'd underestimated human ingenuity and the extent of scientific progress already in development when they arrived. Dr. Eliza Chen, once the head of CERN's quantum mechanics division, now led Earth's most classified research project. When Sarah entered the lab, the scientist was dancing around a complex apparatus, her usually calm demeanor replaced with barely contained excitement. "It worked," Eliza exclaimed, not bothering with formalities. "Full quantum displacement of matter across 500,000 kilometers. Instantaneous. No traversal of intervening space. Admiral, do you understand what this means?" Sarah did. It meant humanity had a chance. "Show me." Eliza activated a display showing a small probe appearing in lunar orbit, without having traveled the distance between Earth and Moon. The Valari ships use highly advanced warp technology. They bend space to reduce distances, but they still travel through the intervening space, just compressed. Our approach is fundamentally different. We don't travel at all, Sarah finished. We simply relocate. Exactly. Their sensors are calibrated to detect movement through space, no matter how distorted. They can't detect what doesn't move. The Valari had laughed at humanity's primitive spacecraft during the formal integration ceremony. Their ambassador, with his 7-foot frame and iridescent scaled skin, had patronizingly patted the head of NASA's director. "Charming little chemical rockets," he'd said, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "In a few centuries, we might allow you to graduate to basic gravitational manipulation." That memory burned in Sarah's mind as she asked, "How soon until we can scale this up to something larger? Say, vessel-sized." "That's the beauty of quantum mechanics," Eliza grinned. "Size doesn't significantly increase complexity. We just need more power and refined stabilizers. 6 months, maybe less." Sarah nodded. "You'll have whatever resources you need. This stays absolutely black. Not even the full Security Council knows the details. The Valari think our understanding of quantum mechanics is primitive," Eliza said with a rare smile. "Their arrogance is our advantage. They're looking for the wrong signatures." "Keep it that way," Sarah replied. "We get one shot at this." In the months that followed, the Valari increased their presence on Earth. What had begun as reasonable tributes had escalated to stripped mountainsides, drained aquifers, and enforced labor quotas. Resistance was met with surgical strikes from orbit. Humanity's military forces, once the pride of nations, stood helpless against technology they could barely comprehend. In public, Earth's Unified Council continued diplomatic efforts, requesting consideration and timeline extensions. In secret, production facilities buried in old mining complexes and underwater installations worked around the clock. "They're getting suspicious," General Ibrahim Nasser reported during the August briefing. "Their security patrols have doubled near our decoy research facilities." "Good," Sarah replied. "Let them think we're developing better conventional weapons." Meanwhile, how's Project Displacement coming along? "The prototypes are ready," Eliza announced, entering the secure conference room with 2 armed guards. "We've successfully tested displacement drives on vessels up to corvette size. The energy requirements are higher than expected, but within our capabilities." "And the weapons systems?" Sarah asked. "That's where we have an unexpected advantage," Ibrahim answered. "The Valari shields are designed to counteract kinetic impacts and energy weapons traveling through space toward their vessels. Our displacers can materialize conventional explosives directly adjacent to, or even inside, their shield perimeters." Status of the fleet. Sarah turned to Admiral Constance Wu, head of production. "We have 12 corvettes and 3 destroyers with displacement drives installed," she replied. 2 carriers nearing completion, all constructed in modular segments and assembled in the displacement testing chambers. No Valari satellites or sensors have detected them. "Not enough for a frontal assault against their Armada," Ibrahim noted grimly. "We're not planning one," Sarah said, bringing up a strategic display. "That's exactly what they'd expect, a desperate, conventional attack. Instead, we'll use their confidence against them." The plan took shape. A small but powerful strike force, appearing without warning in the heart of Valari territory. Not to win a prolonged war. Earth couldn't hope to match the Empire's resources, but to demonstrate the devastating consequences of continuing to subjugate humanity. Sarah's communication device chimed with a priority alert. "The Valari High Command has requested an immediate audience with the Unified Council," her aide reported. "Their sensors detected unusual energy signatures from the Antarctic region." "It was bound to happen," Eliza said. "The test jumps require tremendous power. We've been masking it as geothermal research, but they were always going to notice eventually." "How much time do we need to finalize the fleet?" Sarah asked. 4 weeks minimum," Admiral Wu replied. "The weapon systems on the carriers aren't fully integrated yet." Sarah made her decision. "Move up the timeline. Begin final preparations. I'll attend this meeting with the Valari and buy us whatever time I can." The Valari ambassador's compound had once been the United Nations headquarters in New York. Now it housed the alien administrative apparatus that governed Earth's integration into the Empire. Ambassador Krelvor, resplendent in ceremonial armor that shimmered with embedded technology, did not invite the human delegation to sit. "Explain these energy fluctuations," he demanded without preamble. "They bear signatures consistent with restricted research patterns." Sarah, representing Earth's military on the Unified Council, kept her expression neutral. "We've been developing improved geothermal energy extraction. Earth's population needs sustainable power sources to meet your production quotas." Krelvor's secondary eyes narrowed, a sign of suspicion in Valari body language. "Our science division has analyzed the patterns. They are inconsistent with thermal energy conversion." He stalked closer. "If your species is attempting to develop prohibited technologies, the consequences will be severe." Council President Chen stepped forward smoothly. "Ambassador, I assure you, Earth remains committed to the integration protocols. Perhaps your scientists would like to inspect our geothermal facilities. We have nothing to hide." The carefully prepared distraction worked. The Valari would be shown elaborate decoy facilities while the real work continued elsewhere. "Acceptable," Krelvor finally said. "A science team will arrive tomorrow. If their findings contradict your claims." He let the threat hang in the air. When they left the compound, Sarah whispered to President Chen, "We need 2 more weeks. "I'll do what I can," he replied grimly. "But they're losing patience with us. The resource extraction quotas just doubled again. People are starving in regions that used to be our breadbaskets." 2 weeks, Sarah repeated. "Then we show them exactly what happens when you back humans into a corner." The most dangerous moment came 3 days later. A Valari science vessel unexpectedly changed course, heading directly for one of the underwater assembly facilities off the coast of South Africa. Admiral Wood's urgent message reached Sarah in the middle of the night. "They'll be within sensor range in 20 minutes. The Valkyrie carrier is still being assembled. We can't move it, and can't adequately shield it." Sarah made the call that might doom them all or save them. "Initiate emergency displacement. Send it to coordinates Beta 9. That's the lunar dark side testing range." Wu protested. "The drive calibration isn't finalized. We could lose the ship entirely. If the Valari find it, we lose everything." Sarah countered. "Do it now." The massive carrier, Earth's largest spacecraft ever built, vanished from its assembly bay in a flash of quantum energy just 8 minutes before the Valari vessel passed overhead. The aliens found nothing but an empty underwater construction facility, apparently abandoned. When Sarah arrived at the lunar monitoring station 12 hours later, she held her breath as the sensors swept the designated coordinates. There, the technician pointed. Valkyrie made it. Drive systems intact. Some structural damage to the port side, but nothing critical. Sarah released the breath she'd been holding. "Get repair teams there immediately, and tell Dr. Chen that we just had our first full-scale emergency displacement under combat conditions." "Should we bring the ship back to Earth?" "No," Sarah decided. "Keep it there. In fact, begin moving all completed vessels to lunar staging areas as they're finished. The Valari rarely patrol the dark side. They consider our level of lunar presence to be primitive and inconsequential." The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of final preparations and increasingly tense meetings with Valari officials. Their patrols intensified, and 3 resistance cells were discovered and publicly executed as a warning. The message was clear. The Valari suspected something, even if they couldn't prove it. On the eve of the operation, Sarah stood in the Antarctic Command Center, looking at the assembled officers who would lead humanity's desperate gambit. "The Valari believe they understand us," she told them. "They think they've measured our capabilities and found us wanting. Their ships are more advanced, their weapons more powerful. By any conventional assessment, what we're attempting is impossible." She smiled for the first time in what felt like years. "But they don't understand what humans do when cornered. Tomorrow, we show them that they've fundamentally misunderstood what humanity is capable of. Not just our technology, but our resolve." In orbit around Earth, the Valari command ship received an unusual energy reading from the lunar dark side, but dismissed it as a minor solar flare interaction with the lunar regolith. Their attention was focused on Earth and the strange readings they'd been detecting for months. They never thought to look outward, toward their own home. By the time dawn broke over Antarctica, Earth's secret fleet had already vanished from the solar system. Not by conventional flight, but by a quantum leap that would rewrite the rules of warfare forever. The quantum counterstrike. The Valari homeworld, Krelvorin, was a jewel of engineering prowess. Orbital rings encircled the planet like brilliant halos, teeming with shipyards and defense platforms. The system's 5 inhabited moons housed military academies and research facilities that had produced the technologies allowing the Valari to dominate a quarter of the galaxy. No enemy fleet had penetrated within 100 light-years of this system in over 3 centuries. The Valari Defense Command considered it impenetrable, not just well-defended, but physically impossible to reach without passing through multiple heavily monitored transit points. High Commander Jax Vorin stood on the command platform of the Imperial Citadel, overlooking the capital city. Status reports from all sectors of the Empire streamed across his neural interface, including routine updates from the newly acquired primitive world designated E3291, or as the natives called it, Earth. The subjugation proceeds according to schedule, reported Sub-Commander Talmera. The humans continue to show minor resistance, but nothing our security forces cannot handle. Their attempted weapons development. Jack Svorin inquired. Primitive adaptations of their existing technologies. Nothing concerning. Their quantum understanding is particularly amusing. They still debate theories our younglings learn in primary education. Jack Svorin's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. These humans lack the temperament for proper integration. Begin preparations for Phase 2 colonization. Selected population retention for labor, reduction of excess consumption units. By your command, Talmera bowed. The Earth Administrative Council has requested another audience to discuss resource quotas. They claim current extraction rates are causing ecological collapse. Denied. Jack Svorin said dismissively. Inform them that compliance is not optional. If they... The emergency alert cut him off mid-sentence, pulsing red through his neural link. Spatial anomalies detected. Unauthorized ships. Impossible coordinates. What is happening? He demanded. The tactical display shifted, showing multiple contacts appearing simultaneously in high orbit around Krelvorin, directly behind the innermost defense perimeter. Impossible, whispered Talmera. They simply appeared. No approach vector, no transit signature. For the first time in his 300-cycle career, Jack Svorin felt the cold sting of genuine fear. Admiral Sarah Reeves surveyed the tactical display aboard the EFSS Defiance. The quantum jump had worked perfectly, all 17 ships materializing precisely at their designated coordinates. Before them lay the Valari homeworld, its defenses oriented outward, completely unprepared for an enemy appearing directly behind them. All ships report successful displacement, Lieutenant Park announced. No detection during transit, as predicted. Status of the Valari response? Sarah asked. Confusion, Admiral. Their communication channels are chaotic. Defense platforms are attempting to reorient, but their design assumes attacks from outside their perimeter. Deploy the message probes, Sarah ordered. Then target their primary military communication nodes, weapons free on defensive platforms only. Across the Earth fleet, conventional missiles, simple by Valari standards, launched toward targets that had never expected to see combat. The twist was in their delivery. The missiles themselves performed micro-quantum jumps during flight, blinking past shield perimeters and appearing directly adjacent to critical systems. On the Valari command networks, panic spread. Reports flooded in of weapons materializing inside protected zones, bypassing layered defenses that had been considered absolute. Simultaneously, automated message probes appeared in fixed positions around the capital city and major military installations, broadcasting on all frequencies. Attention Valari Empire. This is Admiral Sarah Reeves of Earth's Defense Force. We have demonstrated our ability to reach your homeworld undetected and strike with precision. This is a limited demonstration. We have targeted only military assets and have avoided civilian casualties. This restraint is not due to technological limitations, but to human ethical choice. On the Defiance, Sarah watched as the Valari frantically mobilized their home fleet. Massive dreadnoughts began powering up, but they were in disarray, unsure where to direct their overwhelming firepower. Second wave displacement in 3 minutes, the tactical officer reported. All ships report ready. Sarah nodded. Proceed as planned. What followed would later be recorded in both human and Valari military academies as the Phantom Fleet Maneuver. The Earth vessels, significantly outgunned by conventional metrics, performed coordinated quantum jumps every 90 seconds, appearing at new coordinates with each displacement. The Valari tracking systems, designed to calculate conventional movement vectors, proved useless against targets that didn't move but instead ceased to exist in one location and appeared in another. Earth's smaller corvettes blinked directly adjacent to Valari capital ships, deploying specialized EMP devices calibrated to the frequencies of Valari systems before displacing away. The larger vessels were left drifting, their advanced weapons temporarily inoperable. Valari High Command is attempting to contact us, Lieutenant Park reported. Put them through, Sarah ordered, straightening her uniform. The holographic projection of High Commander Jax Voren appeared, his normally iridescent scales dulled with stress. What manner of deception is this? He demanded. Your species does not possess this technology. A reasonable assumption based on what we allowed you to see, Sarah replied coolly. You catalog our visible capabilities and never considered what we might be developing in secret. Your arrogance blinded you. This defiance will result in the complete annihilation of your world, Jax Voren threatened. Even now, our fleets near your solar system are being redirected to find nothing, Sarah interrupted. Before departing, we left quantum displacement devices on Earth. Our population centers have already been evacuated to secure locations that your sensors cannot detect. Should any retaliatory strike be launched against Earth, we have displacement-equipped weapons primed to strike every major Valari world simultaneously. It was a calculated bluff. Earth had indeed prepared emergency evacuation sites using the quantum technology, but their offensive capabilities were limited to the ships currently in the Valari system. Still, the demonstration had achieved the desired psychological effect. What do you want? Jax Voren finally asked, mandibles tight against his face in the Valari expression of grudging respect. An immediate cessation of all resource extraction on Earth, withdrawal of all Valari forces from our solar system, recognition of Earth's sovereign territory extending to the boundaries of our solar system, and reparations for the damage already inflicted. Preposterous, Jax Voren spat. The Empire does not capitulate to lesser species. Then we have nothing further to discuss. Sarah nodded to her communications officer, who terminated the connection. They're powering up orbital defense platforms, Tactical reported. Targeting solutions locking onto our positions. Execute displacement pattern Omega, Sarah ordered calmly. The Earth fleet vanished moments before the massive energy weapons fired, reappearing directly above the Valari Imperial Citadel itself. Two carriers opened their launch bays, but instead of fighter craft, they deployed hundreds of small objects that blinked into quantum displacement immediately after release. Displacement mines deployed, the weapons officer confirmed. All critical targets covered. These were humanity's technological masterstroke, small quantum displacement devices attached to conventional explosives, programmed to materialize inside the shield perimeters of key Valari governmental and military installations should a coded signal be sent. Sarah reopened the channel to Valari High Command. As you can see, High Commander, we've repositioned. The devices now surrounding your government centers are quantum-linked explosives. They remain in a state of quantum flux until activated, making them impossible for your systems to detect or disarm. She leaned forward. We did not come to start a war, but to end one. The war you began against Earth without provocation. We offer terms not out of weakness, but because humans prefer peace when possible. This preference should not be mistaken for inability to fight when necessary. A tense silence followed. On the tactical display, Sarah could see Valari vessels surrounding them, hundreds of weapons locked on. If they opened fire, many Earth ships would be destroyed, but the displacement mines would activate, and the heart of the Valari Empire would suffer catastrophic damage. After what seemed an eternity, Jax Voren spoke. The Valari Empire acknowledges your technological achievement. We will consider your terms. You have 1 hour, Sarah replied. After that, we will deploy additional measures. When the communication ended, the bridge crew of the Defiance remained silent, the weight of their position settling upon them. They were 17 ships against an empire, their advantage based on surprise and a technology that, while revolutionary, did not change the fundamental disparity in numbers and firepower. They're stalling, General Ibrahim said over the secured channel from the EFSS Valkyrie. Their strategists will be calculating whether they can neutralize enough of us before the mines activate. Probably, Sarah agreed. Which is why we're not staying here. All ships prepare for long-range displacement, to coordinates Sierra Echo 3. The Earth fleet vanished again, reappearing over the Valari's largest shipyard moon. Before the defense systems could respond, precision strikes disabled key production facilities and power generators. Then another jump, this time to the Valari's primary fuel processing station in the outer system. Surgical strikes, followed by immediate displacement. For 3 hours, the Earth fleet conducted what later became known as the Phantom Campaign, appearing at critical infrastructure points throughout the Valari home system, demonstrating their ability to strike anywhere at will, then vanishing before effective countermeasures could be deployed. No Valari civilians were targeted. No cities were destroyed. But with each precise strike at military and industrial targets, the message became clearer. This was not merely a lucky breakthrough, but a fundamental shift in the strategic balance. When the Defiance finally reappeared in high orbit over Krelvorin, a different Valari official awaited them. Supreme Counselor Venturel, the civilian head of the Valari government, requested direct communication. Admiral Reeves, her image flickered into view. The Imperial Council has reviewed your terms and is prepared to negotiate a cessation of hostilities. The terms are not negotiable, Sarah replied firmly. But we are willing to discuss implementation timelines. I understand, Venturel said, her tone more respectful than any Valari had ever used with humans. May I ask, how long has your species possessed this technology? Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Less time than your ships have been harvesting our resources. The implications landed visibly on the Valari counselor's face. Humans had developed this revolutionary capability while under occupation, with restricted research activities, in less than 3 years. The Valari have existed for millennia, Venturel said slowly. In that time, few species have surprised us. We may have miscalculated in our assessment of human potential. A costly miscalculation, Sarah noted. One I suggest you not repeat. 26 hours later, aboard the Defiance, Sarah watched as the Valari representatives signed the Treaty of Krelvorin. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign power. All Valari forces would withdraw from the solar system within 30 days. Technology exchange would occur on a voluntary reciprocal basis. They're already analyzing every second of this encounter, Ibrahim warned as they walked back to the command deck after the ceremony. Looking for weaknesses in our displacement technology. Let them, Dr. Chen replied, joining them. The fundamental breakthrough isn't something they can counter quickly. Their entire approach to physics is built around different principles. We've essentially been working in different scientific languages. Will we share the technology? Ibrahim asked. The Council will have to decide how much to reveal during the exchange programs. Sarah stopped at the viewport, looking out at the glittering Valari homeworld. We'll share enough to establish mutual respect. The Valari aren't evil, just arrogant and expansionist. They've operated for centuries on the assumption that technological superiority gives them the right to exploit others. Some humans thought the same, once upon a time, Ibrahim noted, which is exactly why we need to be careful with this power. Sarah replied, today we used it to free Earth. Tomorrow, well, that's what worries me. Dr. Chen joined her at the viewport. Every breakthrough can be weaponized or used for progress. The quantum displacement drive could end resource scarcity, allow us to establish colonies throughout our system without environmental damage from conventional rockets, revolutionize how we think about space itself. Or it could make us the next Valari, Sarah said quietly, imposing our will because we can. As the Defiance prepared for the quantum jump back to Earth, Sarah drafted her report to the Unified Council. The technical details of the campaign would fill volumes, but she began with the lesson she hoped humanity would carry forward. Today we demonstrated that ingenuity can overcome apparent technological advantages. The Valari underestimated us because they measured our capabilities by their standards and their understanding of physics. Their mistake was not just technological but philosophical. They failed to recognize that different paths of development can lead to different but equally valid forms of advancement. She paused, considering her final words carefully. As we take our place among the stars, we must remember this lesson. True advancement comes not from domination, but from the recognition that diversity, of species, of thought, of scientific approach, strengthens us all. The Valari laughed at our outdated ships until we rewrote physics mid-battle. Let us not make the same mistake of arrogance they did. The Earth fleet disappeared from Valari space in a silent flicker of quantum energy, leaving behind an empire fundamentally changed, and a galaxy about to learn that a new power had emerged, one that had proven that even the most established principles could be challenged by those willing to think differently. When they materialized in Earth orbit, cheers erupted across every communications channel from the planet below. Humanity had entered a new era, not as subjects of an alien empire, but as innovators who had earned their place among the stars.